Hello class, and welcome to our video lesson on the structure of matter. In this video lesson, we're going to be focusing on standards S8P1. Students will examine the scientific view of nature, scientific view of the nature of matter, which more specifically we'll be looking at distinguishing between atoms and molecules and describing the difference between pure substances, which are elements and compounds, and mixtures. The student-friendly standards that we will address in this video lesson are: I can explain the difference between atoms and molecules, I can draw examples of common molecules, and I can explain the difference between a pure substance and a mixture. So please make sure that by the end of this video lesson that your notes will reflect all of the things that you have seen in this video lesson, and you will be able to go back and study those, and then you can meet the student-friendly standards at the bottom. Those are the things that you want to be able to do by the end of this video lesson, and having completed notes will help you accomplish that goal. Let's first take a look at our first word, which is going to be an atom. We've all heard of atoms before. Atoms are the basic or the building block of matter. Everything around us that's considered matter is going to be made up of atoms. Now, atoms are very, very tiny and very hard for us to see with just the naked eye. It takes a very powerful microscope in order for us to see these tiny particles. They are so tiny that if you were to pull out a strand of your hair, there's about 1 million of atoms in just that one strand of hair. So they're very, very small. And then atoms are made up of even smaller particles, which we call protons, electrons, and neutrons. Over here in our picture, we are looking at a picture of a carbon atom. We're going to use lots of pictures and diagrams and models in order to represent an atom because, like I said, they're very hard for us to see with the naked eye. But this would be a picture of a carbon atom, and there's all different types of atoms, which we will talk about throughout this lesson. Now, when these atoms start joining together in different ways, we get what is called a molecule. When atoms join together, they make molecules. Molecules can sometimes be very simple, such as H2O, and they're only made up of a few atoms, which you can see down here. Only 3 atoms make up this water molecule. They can also be very complex and made up of hundreds, thousands, or sometimes even millions of atoms. Up here, these would be some examples of some more complex molecules because they're made of more atoms. Now, let's talk about how matter is classified. We've talked about matter being made up of atoms, and when these atoms join together, they make molecules. Now let's talk about how matter is classified. Matter is either going to be classified as a mixture or a pure substance. And that is what we're going to talk about next in our video lesson. Let's first take a look at mixtures. Mixtures are created when 2 or more substances are combined. When these substances come together in a mixture, they do not bond together or they do not stick together. A mixture will contain a combination of different atoms and molecules. Let's take a look at these 2 pictures that we have here. As you can see, that the molecules that make up this substance are different. One molecule is 2 pink atoms joined together. Another molecule is a green with 2 pink atoms. So these are very different molecules that make up this substance. This would be called a mixture. And this molecule is not bonding with this molecule. They're keeping their own individual properties. This would be another example of a mixture as well. And you can see that it's a mixture because the substances that make up the mixture are very different. Okay? So when you think about a mixture, just think different atoms and molecules or different particles. Some other examples of mixtures would include blood, Kool-Aid, pizza, as well as air. Now, on the flip side of that, let's look at a pure substance, which is another way that matter can be classified. A pure substance is a substance in which there's only one type of particle. That means all the atoms are the same or all the molecules are the same. Pure substances will have the same composition, which means they are made up of the same thing. Let's take a look at this picture. All of the molecules that make up this substance are exactly the same. That's why this would be considered a pure substance. Some other examples of pure substances would be salt, as well as hydrogen peroxide. All of the molecules that make up the substance salt would look the same, or all of the molecules that make up hydrogen peroxide would look exactly the same. They would all look like this. It would be 2 oxygen atoms with hydrogen atoms connected at the ends. So when you think pure substance, think same. When you think mixture, think different. Now let's talk about some specific types of pure substances. A pure substance can actually be an element or it can be a compound, which are the words that were in parentheses behind pure substance in your standard. Let's look at an element first. An element is made up of only one type of atom. As you can see in this picture, all of these atoms are the same, so we would call that an element. Elements are all found on the periodic table of elements, which is a table that we are going to discuss a little bit later on in a future lesson. Compounds are also pure substances. A compound is exactly kind of what its name sounds like. It's where you take two or more of something. In this case, it's two or more different elements bonded together. That is what we would call a compound. Compounds also have chemical formulas, and we're going to talk more about a chemical formula and how to analyze those. But a compound and an element are both pure substances. We have reached the end of our video lesson on the structure of matter. If there's anything that you may have missed in this lesson, I would suggest going back through the lesson. Please make sure that you have completely filled out your graphic organizer. Make sure you have adequate information for each word and also pictures.